to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this giant shit show of an episode as we have 7 people total on this call. So, I'm going to run down everybody. As you can look, I don't have a 7-man overlay set up for the episode, so I kind of have people kind of squeezed in there in the little call, but we're going to make this work. So, first, we're going to run down the normal hosts. We have Daze is here, DeClaude is here, Punch is here, Horse is here, and Chira is here.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. And now, for this special episode, we have... Do you want me to call you by your summoner name or your real name?
It doesn't matter. Either one's fine.
I don't actually know your summoner name.
It's people just call me Dark. So.
All right. So we have Dark, a.k.a. Corey. He is joining us. He is a patron, and he wanted to come on and talk about talk about League of Legends with us, join the episode, get some replay reviews, support the network, all the good stuff we talked about in the past. We're not going to inundate you guys with that. So, Corey, having a good night so far. I guess you listened to us, just to have fun.
He's getting the full T-Force experience and just hearing us shit.
I got 25, 35 minutes to drive in the morning, so it's a good way to crank out an episode, get to and back. So
until this episode, where now you're going to regret coming on because you won't have
I just want to put the headphones down and be like, ugh.
Well,
you can do like Adam, and you can just listen to yourself talk.
See, I can't do that. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I'm
How
gonna listen to this back again. It'll be horrible, probably the way it sounds. So.
No, wait, Lancifer is going to do a good job.
Yeah.
A good job. All right. So before we jump into what you want to talk about, and we'll let you have the floor here, because primarily we're going to put this way: it's your episode, and we're here to answer your questions and have a giant discussion and all talk together about every piece of League of Legends. But first, as always, I have to run down some quick announcements. I want to first ask you guys a question. Every single one of you in this podcast: do you guys believe in the hearth of the cards?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's all I'd ask. I just had to ask if you believe.
What is the hearth of the cards, Adam?
I can't say.
It's a secret.
Then how can I believe?
You need to
Hey guys,
believe.
do you remember like a month ago when Adam was like, "No more announcements of an announcement"?
No, I don't remember.
This isn't an announcement, it's a riddle.
Yeah, it's
wrapped in an enigma.
Wrapped in a mystery.
Wait, Horse? Say hi.
Hello?
I think you're on your webcam and not your
you're on
snowball.
webcam mic.
Ooh.
We might have to start all over again.
Oh my!
Dun, dun, dun.
Unless even better, unless Audacity is set for his snowball and Skype is set for his webcam.
Audacity Snowball, we're good.
Then set your okay. Then whatever. The live show will
good.
just sound like shit. We're good.
Who cares? Yeah.
All right, guys, I just want to make sure you guys believed in the hearth of the cards. Second, if you guys haven't checked out T-Force RPG, please go to tforcerpg.com. That is going to be a website here very shortly. It actually is a website. You'll have a sign-up. You'll have all the stuff. You can play Dungeons & Dragons there. LeShock is the Dungeon Master, the Grand Dungeon Master, we'll call him. He is
And it's not just D&D. It's like a bunch of different
It's all
games.
tabletop board games, yeah. But I want you guys to be aware that if you want to look for that, T-Force RPG is where you're going to go for that. As well, go to teespring.com/T-Force-Frank and support the network through buying a Frank the Tank t-shirt. There's only 12 days or something left on that. Not very long. Go buy yourself a t-shirt. Another quick announcement. I am looking for a Django wizard, which is a programming language. DJANGO.
The D silent.
Yeah, so Django. Yeah, the D silent. I can never say it correctly. But anyways, we had a guy, his name was Sean. He was working on the website. He had to leave, and we had other people come on and help. And we've pretty much got everything together. We just need somebody that understands Django better than the people that are working on it to get the beta up. Because the website's ready. I've been teasing this website for months and months and months. It's ready, but I need somebody to help me get it up onto the virtual server because Apache's throwing errors we can't figure out. So if you know Django and you want to help, feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. Please let me know, and I'll get you in there, and you can help Wrecker get this beta up so we can break it, fix it, and then get the website out. lastly, big, huge announcement for the network, and one that I know Corey is going to join us for because this man is not too far from us. In Cincinnati, Ohio, we are going to be going to the allmid.gg Collegiate Tournament on October 3rd, starting at 9 a.m. We're going to have a booth. We're going to be running a live D&D session on Sunday. And we are going to be doing a live podcast at this event. Not to mention, we will probably be on the stream doing an interview and helping out with shoutcasting. I've sent out information to patrons. Horse Doctor is going to come down from Maine to join us for that weekend as well. He's coming to Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cool is that? It's going to be
Pretty
booth and
exciting.
everything.
Yeah. So he's going to come down here. Punch, assuming he can make it, will be here. Chiro, 100%. LeShock, Wrecker will be around. Chris Alphanar is coming to help out with that live show as well.
Oh, wow, nice.
And I will be there. And then also my girlfriend, she's coming out. She's going to be. I told her she can be my pseudo booth babe, and she she slapped me across the face for that one.
You deserved it.
No, she's gonna come out and help me too. She's gonna help hand out T-shirts. We're gonna have a booth there, so hopefully it's gonna look awesome because we're working with a couple people to get that done. We're gonna have T-shirts again, October 3rd and 4th in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the Fifth Third Bank of Arena. Go to allmid.gg for more information. We're gonna be there. We're going to record the episode live as well, so that we can post that on YouTube, and we're gonna record that as like either a bonus episode or the episode for that week, so you guys can hear our very first ever live podcast, like in front of people.
I'm sure that'll go well.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a shit show.
Live in person podcast with a studio audience.
Yeah, live with the studio audience.
You gonna have a light up applause banner
Can we make one?
or a light up shut the hell up banner?
All right. Well, light up, shut the hell up banner just started. All right, so I'm gonna
Wait
roll
a minute,
this into
horse. Are you gonna show up riding a moose or something?
Maybe.
No, it's a
You'll have to
lobster.
go to
Maine.
see.
Wait, a lobster?
Maine lobster.
Oh, Maine
Yeah.
Those things are good.
Damn, this guy's witty. I like him. He beats the shit out of me. I'm just gonna have him host full time because we need somebody to keep Declawed in check, or somebody can do better than Declawed.
So you're at your wit's end. Speaking of wit's end, let's move into. Oh wait, that's not part of the discussion.
Oh, fuck off,
It's
Declawed.
going
All right, Corey, let's talk here. It is we're having on the show because we want to talk about you and what you play in League of Legends, try to answer any of the questions you have. We had previously talked about elixirs and support. So why don't you give us a little bit feedback about you, who you are, what you play, and let's roll into some League of Legends discussion.
Well, I first got into League from a buddy of mine who used to play WoW, and he was like, hey, you got to check this game out. This was back in probably about 2011, 2012. And didn't really get into it. I didn't really understand like what was going on. It just kind of appeared like WoW PvP, but like an RTS version of it. And it was kind of cool. Like the concept was fun. I just really didn't have a lot of friends to play it, and kind of disregarded it up until just recently, probably about a year ago, when I started listening to the podcast and kind of got back into it. Wanted to get better because I'm horrific, and that's the reason why I listen to the show, and it's helped out. Obviously tons, and I play a lot of support. I play a lot of jungle, mainly because of the fact that when I got back into it, I found some players that were friends of mine, and they're like, "Hey, you should jungle," and I never knew how to, so I just kind of picked up a jungler and got into it.
What jungler?
I started with Udyr. I know Chira likes that.
Oh yeah.
I liked him a lot too.
And Bear Pig?
Yeah, and then I did really well last season with Rammus and got to silver 5.
There you go.
Last year,
Awesome.
so
You climbed
I'm
out
stuck
of the
in
pit.
bronze this season because I wanted it to be more support than a jungler. So
Yes, easy role to climb yourself out of, though, especially if
Yeah.
once we start understanding positioning and trading in lane, and so it's really something I will say that we'll throw out here at the beginning is a lot of players that I watch don't assert their dominance in lane, and that's one of the things that I think we can start here, because I know you had your question about support roaming and understanding how to properly play the role.
Yeah.
Without putting you too much on the spot, your general overall question was
about the support roaming.
Yeah, sure, we can start wherever.
Well, I kind of have it written out like how I would say it, which was kind of nice, so I
There we
didn't
go.
sound like a complete.
Hey, I do every single week, so you're really are you trying to upstage me?
No. Well, I wanted to be prepared. You guys have show notes. I just have pieces of paper. So,
All right.
my
Old-fashioned,
question,
like-
like I said, it wasn't specifically about roaming like to gank or anything, but more roaming to ward. and I've done this a few times when I've done like Bronze Boot Camp or Battle Arena, is where like I would go to once I get my side zone pink try, put a ward down the river, and then I would maybe try to put something in the jungle to get eyes on the jungler. I've been caught out a few times doing that, where the bot lane sees me coming up and they'll come up from lane up to river. I just wasn't sure if maybe I'm doing this too early, or maybe I'm not taking the proper steps first to kind of ward the jungle on the bottom side of the map prior. This is mainly specifically when we're on blue side. So.
Okay. Well, I'll leave that open to Daze or Horse or anybody else who wants to take that reins there, talking about proper times to ward and what we should be looking for that.
I'll handle the go for it.
Go ahead.
Alright, so as far as not getting caught by the jungler, if the jungle always starts with bot lane, or like 99% of the time they start with their bot lane to get a double leash, and they're usually around the blue buff side of the map until like 3 minutes at the latest. So you usually get like a small window from 4 to 5, especially when you have vision of the jungler where you're a little safer. And then like assume they're around it when it's up again. So like around 7 minutes, in 6:30, 7:30, you really need to be cautious again. But a lot of it just comes down to buff timings because they're gonna like be around the buff when they're gonna take it. So it's really when you need to be hesitant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I got used to the timers when jungling. About the 7:20, 7:30 mark is when, depending on when you started, would be coming back up.
An easy way to cheat with that too, for people who aren't as familiar and haven't played jungle, is if you are, as long as your jungler didn't do some crazy weird start where they did like all the small camps first, if your camp is coming up soon, their camp is probably coming up soon, and usually it's mirrored, or you can tell like if bot lane came leashed or they didn't, then you know which side they start on, so you can figure out when your buffs are up and when theirs are up, and it makes it a little bit easier for the first time. If you're in lower elos and your jungler lets red sit up for 5 minutes the second time, then you lose the ability to kind of judge off of that. But just be careful, because sometimes actually Horse helped me with this, because I was like, man, I keep getting caught warding, and he said that there's like there's a fine line between, especially the higher you go, between making a bad decision or just being unlucky. So there's a possibility that like their jungler should be top side getting red for whatever reason. Like red's coming up in 5 seconds, but for some reason they're doing Gromp. So in all of your educated guess, they shouldn't be there. So you go to ward and you get caught out. Well,
They just happen to be there.
It happens. You know, it happens. You were making an educated decision. You just have to evaluate later on whether or not you were doing the right thing or whether or not you were being reckless. And that comes a lot down to experience too.
Dace is learning from Slack. She found a way to blame RNG in League.
It works. Also,
no, but I will tell you
your...
though, when I was when I was climbing through, and I like in bronze especially, they would have like 2 buffs up, and like I would just randomly go to ward, and I would catch people at like Gromps, like, or not Gromps, like golems or something. They're just kind of chilling there doing nothing. The golems aren't even up, they're just sitting in that bush, and it's like, but your buffs are up. What are you doing here? People are like not very predictable in low elos, so you have to just use your map awareness, know when people are where, like pay attention to, like tab often and see if you have vision of people and that sort of thing. But there are going to be some times that it's not necessary. It's your fault for getting caught, but it's also not.
Right.
Keep an eye on your bot lane opponents as well, because they will telegraph most likely. They might move up, or they'll telegraph something's going on. I've been use them as a little gauge.
I've gotten it a few since writing the questions and things prior to the show. I've played a few games where I've been trying to be more careful about it, and where I've caught the jungler by surprise, where they kind of freak out for just a second because the ward just pops up like on their ass and stuff.
And they usually do. They usually start running away from their buff or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's rare that they actually come and attack you.
Especially if they don't know where the other jungler is, they might be like, "Oh, hey, they're here and they're gonna try and gank me."
But I've been mainly caught out, or mainly watching the laners leaving my ADC. If they're coming and following me up river and stuff, then I know something's kind of heading that way. So I'll just huck a ward real quick and dive off mid lane. So.
Now, I don't know how often you do this, but something that I like to tell a lot of players to do that are playing, well, any role really, is you've probably heard us talk about check the map every 30 seconds, like just to start, right? And it really should be like every 5 seconds just to be looking at the map. But the big thing to do is if you ping a jungler, make a mental note for yourself. Say jungler is top. It takes him 2.5. It'll take him probably 2.5 minutes to get to bottom lane. That means I don't need to ward for the next 2.5 minutes. We'll say a minute and 45 seconds, realistically. But you can start making mental notes in your head based on how long it takes somebody to walk across the map. And generally, you're looking at about 2 minutes if the person is top lane to ping. It's depending on how quickly they're rolling around the map. It could be a little longer, but you get the general gist of where I'm going with this. And that's, you have now seen the jungler go to mid. You've pinged him. You're watching him as you're watching the lane. Now he's walking toward bot. That's when you can start pinging the be careful river ping. And you can know, I don't need to walk out and ward because I know he's coming. Because if I walk out and ward, I'm going to get caught. And that's what we were talking about before.
And that goes for almost any position you're in. Like, how many times in a game do like one of us see where somebody is and like, okay, they're jungler, top side jungle. Like, when you know the region that somebody else is on the map, it frees up what you can do in other spots, and giving somebody that little cue can be the difference between them being more aggressive or not, or even like having some sort of understanding that, hey, if I go in hard right now, there's a chance I'm gonna get 2v1'd and I just gave up a kill for nothing.
Yeah. And anytime you need to back off or give ground, because let's just use this example, the jungler's coming bot lane. I like to ward bushes as I'm retreating, just so I still have that vision. Another example would be if the enemy bot lane is pushing against you and you have to back off from the side lane bushes. That's when I ward that bush, because I don't have control of that bush anymore. So I need to see if somebody goes into that. I need to see if the jungler is lane ganking, or in Adam's example, if he's coming down through the jungle and then sitting in a bush and just waiting for us to go aggressive. Because you kind of need to know. You kind of need to know if the jungler is there, if he's just waiting for you to slip up. And you need to ward while you still have, the capacity to do so before you have to back off.
Do you try to ping? I guess maybe this is more for days, but do you try to ping or say anything? Because I'm trying, and because of the replay review I sent into, I watched it over after I sent it in. Was like I was typing too much, and I was like, do you try to tell your laner like, hey, I'm just gonna go ward real quick and I'll be right back? Because usually, considering the elo I'm in, they freak out if. I leave if I leave for any period of time, they're like, "Where are you going?" And they'll ping that they need help, and I'm like, "Just give me 20 seconds to ward."
Yeah, I ping if I'm gonna leave lane for any reason, because even when I'm duoing, I ping, because people get so ADC is not an easy role either. Like, you have to CS, you have to harass. There's a lot going on, so people tend to get really zoned. So I'll ping, and usually they'll look over and they'll see like I'm moving towards river, and they'll kind of back off a little bit. And then the other time that you can get some decent, usually I do that if the jungler's like top or something, I know that I can get into his jungle real quick to place those wards. Once you have deep wards, it's a lot easier to get the second ones down because you have vision of whether or not they're there. The first ones are usually the most risky, or if you don't refresh them in time.
And those are
but the other thing. Yeah, the other thing that you can do, which the Koreans have been doing for a while now, is they'll come, after you get Mobies, they'll come straight up middle, and they'll go through that little jungle path there. They'll ward, like in the bush near wolves, and they'll ward in the bush near, not in the bush, but between blue and Gromp, and then they'll go back to lane. And because you have Mobies, you get there just about the same time as your ADC, so you don't really lose anything. They're not really out of... don't have your presence or anything like that. But if you're not sure where the jungler is, and, they could be lane ganking you or something, or, you could get caught, just be really careful at that point. But I definitely always ping. And I ping, like they were mentioning, if I see the jungler top lane. Like, I don't care if someone died top lane to a gank. I just go Rengar top real quick, because that person in mid lane might not have realized that person top died to a gank, and that Rengar might be coming mid. So just because you ping, like, sometimes, even if it happened in somebody else's lane, that person knows where the jungler is, but other people might not.
Yeah. And also, as you were saying, warding as you're leaving the base, I feel like that's the best time to actually ward your jungle, or to ward away from your lane. Correct me if I'm wrong. When I play support, I generally don't deep ward very often, especially and especially when all 4 people are bot lane. If it's 4v4 bot, I don't want to go out too. I can't speak. I don't want to go too far out to ward. I would just ward somewhere near the dragon, closer to bot lane. I ward the tri-bush on blue side, but I won't go too far out unless I've got an opportunity, because an enemy is missing.
I feel like it depends where your lane is positioned. Like if your lane is shoved, like you're shoved into the enemy tower, it's a good time to ping and put something. But you have to be careful because they see you leave. It's not like when you come back from base, they don't know that you're there warding. So you have to be careful for that. But if you're pushed under your own tower, just ward the tri-bush or ward whatever's near you. Maybe throw one over the wall to dragon. And that's all, and then ward a lane bush so you don't get lane ganked. But you just, if you're shoved into tower, don't leave to try to go deep ward. But deep wards are incredibly, incredibly important, and they're incredibly helpful to the rest of your team because it's not only helping your lane, it helps your jungler, it helps your mid, it helps everybody. It helps your top too because they know if he's bot. And if he's not bot, he's probably top.
I'm glad you brought up pushing into the enemy tower as a good opportunity to go ward because when I duo queue with somebody, the support will oftentimes tell me that they're going to go ward at that point. If I'm pushed into the enemy tower,
especially if you force them to back.
Right. If they're sitting under tower, if the enemy's sitting under tower, we're sieging them, and my support wants to go ward, he'll tell me to say, okay, back off. Like, don't go too aggressive here. I'm not going to be here for a while. I'm going to go ward.
And you can be an escort because you're not going to miss any CS or anything. So
yeah, that's why I was asking about pings because I've shoved into lane and then it's like, oh, this would be a good time to go maybe huck a ward into between Gromp and Blue, and that's when my AD carry gets dived on, and I'm like, oh god.
And, you know, you can't. You've said you can't protect everybody. I mean, people are gonna play like idiots, no matter the rank they're at. Sometimes they're gonna play like more idiots, depending on the day and the time, right? But something to keep in mind about the lower elo, or well, any elo really, is like I said previously. If you can find the jungler at any point in time, or you see him go top. We'll just use top for the example. That's pretty much a free ward for you, so you can continue to siege on that tower. You don't need to walk away because you are winning the lane and are pushing because you have a free 2-minute ward. We'll say 2 minutes is probably about the average there if they're top to make it down to you bottom, assuming they're pretty much booking it for you. So you have a free 2-minute ward there, and you can help siege it out. But as soon as that lane pushes back, this is where understanding how the lane moves and understanding how to manipulate creeps comes in handy, because you can help your laner push a wave or help your laner sustain a wave by just zoning people off by your presence. And the fact that once it's removed, the lane has removed itself from its tower and it's frozen back in the middle, as it's walking, as the lane is moving back toward the middle, that's when you're warding. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily need to walk away, but that we're assuming that you have vision. That's why League of Legends is a lot of if then but statements, because if I see the laner top, then I'm going to.
It's the League of Legends flowchart.
Yeah, it's not really a flowchart.
I've noticed it more recently with following some of the advice that I've found or heard and everything. And,
sure.
And it's been like the last Bronze Boot Camp I was in. Horse was actually trying to maybe calculate how many games are won based off of the vision that's on the map and everything. And I was in that game, and I probably had warded probably more than anyone, being the support and everything, and we had won the game. And most of the games that I've won in ranked and stuff recently have been because of deep warding, finding where the jungler is at, and then just ping ping when I see him there. Ping ping, he's at the next camp, and most either the mid lane or top laner will respond accordingly.
I guess we didn't ask you, what supports are you playing?
I like to play, it's kind of like my junglers, I like to play more tanky, support like. It's kind of rare. Yeah, it's kind of rare that I find play like a carry type of jungler. So like I play like Nautilus jungle, Rammus jungle. So in support I play a lot of Braum, I play a lot of Leona, Thresh, Alistar.
Have you tried Nautilus?
Yeah, I play Nautilus. Since I'm comfortable with jungle, I play him on the bot lanes.
Badass support.
Yeah, I do very well with Nautilus and everything as well. So
another thing that you can try, because all of those have a lot of really good CC, and not necessarily just on 6, but a lot of things another thing that you'll see Koreans do is when they go put that ward near mid, they'll try to gank mid for their mid laner real quick, since they're right there anyway. You can just like Leona over there and try to help them get a kill or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I've tried that a few times, just depending on how they're positioned in the lane.
If nothing else, it pisses off the mid laner. They're like, why is Leona in my lane?
Maybe they missed some CS.
Thanks for the MIA.
There you go.
Yeah,
also,
yeah, he gets it.
Speaking of the mid laner situation too, just because you see a jungler top lane, if for some reason like it's not around the time when Blue's about to show up and you go to ward and you don't see the enemy mid laner, check yourself before you end up giving the mid laner a kill.
Yeah.
Horse. So as a captain of Battle Arena or Bronze Boot Camp, you've seen a number of bronze games, and I'm sure you've seen Dark play before, and you may remember the specific game he is speaking of. Is there something that you see a lot of bronze supports, besides the obvious that they're not doing, maybe positioning or posturing or whatever it may be, that's something that you think is an overall point that bronze supports could work on? I'm not throwing Corey in bronze supports, but we're talking low elo silver bronze supports.
So first off, I've actually been keeping a tally of the Battle Arena and Bronze Boot Camp games, and the last 6 games since I started doing it, the team that's warded more has won. So like that's point 1. As far as leaving lane is concerned, the biggest 2 issues I see in low elo supports is they lose EXP when they leave, which is really bad early. And you almost never want to leave if they can freeze on your AD carry. So that's probably the other big one I don't think we touched on.
Mm-hmm.
As far as lane, like, you don't have to CS when you play support. And if you're confident enough and you know how to play lanes, you can like 2v1 and support until probably mid to low diamond. Like, you don't be scared. Support isn't like, you said you played WoW when we were talking before this. Support isn't Resto Druid. Support is the aggressor in lane, not AD carry. It's usually support.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, look up Aframu's video. Support is so easy. It's like a minute long, and it's absolutely freaking hilarious. It'll change the way you play support.
Mm-hmm.
Writing this down.
I kind of figured with the way your camera
that's why I have
was.
my notes here. So I was writing some of this down.
That's right. And that might change the supports that you're playing in bottom lane too, because a lot of people say they play tanky supports and stuff, but I feel like somebody correct me if wrong, but I feel like a lot of people play tanky supports to band-aid the way they're playing the game, because kind of like a Chira Jaded. You're going aggressive so often you're playing it like a top laner, so you're always engaging. To really get a feel for how to properly play support outside of warding and outside the meta game, you could work with a Sona, a Soraka, a Zyra, a Morgana, anybody that can poke, siege. What's that?
Janna's been good for like 4 years, and like honestly, if you want a ladder, just abuse that shit.
I started with
Janna's so broken.
She is. I agree.
Yeah, but Janna's only broken if you're running attack speed reds and some AD, and you're like, you are the one poking and using your shield.
I've played a lot of Jannas that are very passive, and I feel like that's the biggest hurdle some people do when they play Janna. It's like, oh, I heard Janna's really good, and they pick Janna, and then they don't do anything. They just shield the AD carry every so often.
Yeah, you gotta use your shield
queen
yourself.
of trading, and to trade you have to auto attack. So like, I don't know, like on Janna you have to be active, and Janna you have like the ability, if they touch you and you shield yourself for AD carry, you probably win the trade. Like unless you miss positioning at one shot, you just win the trade. But you have to auto attack them.
So Janna's great for. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was like, do you shield it during like? I've played Janna just started more recently, and it was because of the fact that I heard Janna was more passive, and if I want to play more passive, to play someone like Janna. But I just recently read on her tooltip that her shield grants an AD bonus, which is...
Yes, it does.
Which I've been trying to... And I was like kind of running myself out of mana because I'm like spamming shield on the AD carry. Like hit something, man.
I'll give you like
Let's do this.
3 notes. Because I played only Janna to Diamond 1 when I started playing this game. Janna and Blitzcrank for the most part. But the 3 biggest things is don't Key to Harass. It's 90 mana for 60 damage, which is an auto attack. So like Key to Harass is worthless unless sometimes if you can deny cannon, it's okay. But you also push the lane and it lets them like freeze in front of tower, so that's bad too. Second thing, get an aggressive rune page. I run attack speed reds or AD reds on Janna usually, and then the rest is just standard support with flat runes. The last thing is just Janna's, I think I said it right, she's the queen of trading, and you need to trade like over and over and over again. And trading isn't all in, and trading is trading. And if you just trade over and over again and you can not all in and just hold your Q for when they try and all in you, you just win lane on Janna.
You're trying to force them to use their potions. You're trying to force them to run out of their resources so that you are winning the trade. And Jenna's she's great to learn if you're mastering the attack move and you understand how to trade, walk away, right? And that's what Horse said. You're winning. If you auto attack them, they don't auto attack you back. You've won that trade. And
it's like,
if you can shield yourself, auto attack, walk in, auto attack, maybe pop them up with a Q. You don't necessarily need to because, again, it's a lot of mana, but these are little things you can do to, eventually win that trade and force people out. You are winning that lane 2v1 based on having the threat of your shield jumping onto you, giving you the extra AD, and protecting you from damage.
Imagine yourself as like an MMA fighter and you play Janna. And this is how you should think about her Q when you play her. You're punching the opponent over and over again, but you don't kick them. And as soon as they go in to punch you, you kick them in the face, and they can't do anything. And that is your tornado in Janna. You walk in and you punch them over and over again with auto attacks. And as soon as that Leona tries to Zenith Blade, you just kick her in the face with Q, and she's bleeding.
It's frustrating.
That's a good analogy, though.
That is a really good analogy.
Janna's a great champion to learn, especially if you're learning support, because she teaches you so many different things. She teaches you how to be reactive with her shields. She teaches you how to auto attack, which is something that like a lot of other supports people have difficult playing, especially if you're playing a mage. They don't auto attack. It teaches you how to, you have insane peel. You have to learn positioning because you're squishy, but you kind of have like an oops button, like if you get caught out or someone else gets caught out. Like, so it has like, she has like a fairly low skill floor. Like you can get in, you can play her, you can learn on her. But anyone who's ever seen like a really freaking like good Janna, they're oppressive. Like there's a lot of room to grow with her. Like you'll walk away from lane going, I fucking hate my life. It's like a good when you get to like a really, really good Caitlyn and you just like, okay, I'm done. I'm uninstalling and then I'm jumping off a bridge. Like a good Janna is the same sort of way.
Sometimes you do need to play passively on Janna. And like the biggest thing you need to learn when you play squishy supports against like all-in supports is all-in supports have to all-in you, and usually you have a couple of escapes. Like in Janna, you have Q and ultimate, and you get it. And if they really go deep, you can flash. If they have summoner advantage on you, though, like you can usually die. So like let's say you're playing Janna against Leona, and if you're playing support, you need to be keeping track of the summoner spells anyway. But if Leona has Flash Ignite and you only have like Exhaust and your AD carry doesn't have summoners, you have to like play passively and auto less. But as long as summoners are even or you're ahead, you can usually be aggressive.
Yeah, and keep in mind, trading and winning trade isn't just using all your abilities every chance you get. Right. Like we're saying, just auto attack, because you're losing the trade if you run yourself Yeah, and you're not killing them. So
the other thing to be careful of is you'll see a lot of people going, oh, Janna counters Leona, Janna counters Alistar. Like, you have to practice those matchups a lot, because the reason that Janna counters a lot of champions is because she'll stop their dash. So she'll stop Leona's E and things like that. That's not easy to pull off if you don't have a lot of practice with her. So don't go in. Yeah. She's one of those champions. Don't go in and just go, I'm going to win lane because I counter. You have to practice that matchup.
You know how I learned Janna? I made my brother and a friend go into a custom game back when ARAM was on the tutorial map. I made one of them pick Leona, and I made one of them pick another. I had a teammate on my team, like an Ashe or something. And I just made that Leona Zenith Blade the Ashe over and over again on that ARAM map. It's like 10 or 15 minutes until I learned how to do it. And if you can't do that, like Leona is pretty even with Janna. Janna still does well, but you can mess up. If you can do that, it's just like a kick in the face.
It blows, literally.
But you need to practice it. Just go into a custom, get 2 friends, just give them a beer or something.
Give them a beer. Yeah, you got your buddy over at Mad Tree. We can just get him a 6-pack, right?
He doesn't play video games.
What?
Horse makes a good point about going into customs. About going into customs to practice, because it's such a good idea. But then when you sit down your computer, you're like, I'd rather just get into a game. I really want to grind my LP. Well, the time you spend practicing that crap in custom games will probably be better spent than losing LP because you don't have the hang of certain things, even basics like CSing. It's
been like that recently with the thing that the CS practice thing that Horse was had put up on his he's been sharing it on the channel and everything.
Subreddit,
yeah.
So I've
got to go over that hump.
Either dodge a game or get home and like I should play some ranked games, and I'm like I really should try to get better at CS.
Yeah. It'll pay off.
And an easy way to do that is just every day. You have to warm up anyway, right? So every day you take like 10 minutes and practice CSing or 10 minutes and practice a custom. Like, do something like that. So you don't have to go, oh, man, I need to do 3 hours of custom practice today.
Well, the one thing that's helped me out recently has been the Champ Select podcast with Sudanot. he was saying if you're not like Horus, if you're not Masters or Challenger, winning or losing doesn't matter. Just only focus on getting better. And I thought that was really actually excellent advice and stuff. And I've become more said. Kind of more lax, like the mindset which is getting in playing a normal. If you win, you're like sweet MMR boost, and if you lose, it's just what you did wrong.
Yeah, I think that's what I say as well. I'm Masters, and that's still the way I think. Like, I don't know, things happen, you lose games, and like you are at the elo you belong, but like the bad games do happen. It just averages out over a sample size, and I don't know, like you just need to get better at the game.
Horus, what's the worst thing that happens if you lose a game?
I don't know.
You just lose the game.
I lose numbers on a computer.
You lose fake internet points. Congratulations.
So you can kill internet dragons.
Yep.
All right.
And no matter what, like, it doesn't matter how fed you get, it doesn't matter how good you do. And this is a hard mentality for everyone, like, especially if you feel like you did really well in a game and you're like, damn it, my team threw. Like, and everybody has those moments where it's like, so-and-so shouldn't have been there. There's something somewhere in that game that you could have either snowballed harder, saved somebody else from giving up kills, a better call, like anything. There's things in every single game that you could have done better.
Yep.
So no matter what, if you lose a game, you can't blame it on anyone else but you.
Well, let's take this conversation and move toward the next topic, which I know Corey wanted to talk about elixirs, and I actually have some thoughts on those, but I want to make sure that I'm answering your question properly before.
That's why I have it written out, so maybe it didn't sound just so general. Obviously, other than buying them at levels 9 and up, there are certain times when picking up. Are there certain times when picking up an elixir of iron would be better than, say, maybe picking up a ruby crystal? For example, I was in a game as a rank, but I was actually an ADC. I picked up I was Graves, picked up my Infinity Edge. We were doing really well in lane. I got kind of fed with about 5 or 6 kills at about the 15 or 16 minute mark. And I was already an item up on the other ADC. And instead of picking up a lifesteal item, I picked up an Elixir of Wrath, and it really kind of helped push the game to where we needed it at. But it's different, like I said, because I play a lot of support, so I wasn't sure maybe picking up either an Elixir of Iron or an Elixir of Ruin might be better, considering if you have, say you went Merc Treads that game and had the tenacity on the boots, like would Ruin be better than Iron? So that's kind of the elixir question that I had, instead of, because I usually notice people buying, like, will spam like buy elixirs, but it's a 48 minute game. You're like, well, yeah, elixirs, because the only thing you can spend gold on currently right now. So
right. So something to think about with elixirs is the macro game knowledge, because you've filled your items up because it's early and you can fill 6 slots pretty easily with a couple potions. You've got your sight stone, you've got your sight stone, you've got your regular item, you've got a couple of potions in there between mana and health, and you've also picked up a sight ward or a vision ward rather. So your 6 items, right? What do I do with this extra 400 gold? Do I sit on it or buy a potion? Well, the first thing you want to ask yourself with a lot of these elixirs is, what are we doing as a team? And what am I doing as an individual? Is Dragon coming up within the time that I can buy this elixir and use it? Even if you're on 5 items, you can pick up an elixir and sit on it, right? But are we contesting Dragon, then mid, or Dragon, then bot? Are we contesting bot, then rolling mid? Are we contesting an objective? That's the first thing they ask. You should look at the macro level of the game. What are we contesting next? Where am I going? What is my next objective? Because we've always talked about it. League of Legends is like chess, where you should kind of think a couple steps ahead. And one of those steps is always, what are we contesting next? So if you can answer that question and you can say to yourself, we are contesting Dragon in 1 minute, buy an elixir, because that elixir gives you more than buying just a small item, because generally you're getting a little more AP, you're getting a little health, a little movement speed, whatever it may be that could help you in that next team fight to just push you over the edge other than buying a ruby crystal that only gives you, the 300x amount of health.
That's one of my favorite things to do, especially if I'm playing mid, is like, oh hey, you go back, you don't have, like, you just spent some money, but it's like, what, you're going to buy another amplifying tome for that extra item slot, or do you just want to pick up an elixir and potentially a ward for that dragon fight? Like, I'd rather do that and get that small boost and just go in, and if I'm already ahead, end up clearing and then killing the next objective that little bit much faster and potentially snowballing things a little bit farther just with that one small elixir buy.
Yeah. Just use it though. Use it.
Yes.
Don't chug the elixir and then CS in lane, last hitting until it goes away. You want to use that elixir, or time it to use it if you have less than 6 items. Adam makes a good point about saving it for the dragon fight, because you win the fight, for example, then you get some more money that you could use to get the item that you wanted anyway while it's ticking. I like to get it early if I'm on. I kind of look at elixirs more when I'm on my back foot. If I have to back before I can get a big ticket item, instead of saving for that item, I'll grab it to try to equalize the lane a little bit because I know my opponent's more powerful, and use that to try to get myself to where I need to be. So
that makes sense.
Yep.
I didn't think about the like contesting objectives and things like that. That's a good
point. Adam nailed it with that. Yeah. I mean, that's when you want to buy them. Is you've got a plan and you're preparing to fight the enemy team, and you're going to get an objective over it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other time that I'll get them is if like it's kind of one of those do or die situations. Like if they're pushing you in and you have one more team fight, and if you guys lose, then you're done. Then sometimes I'll pick one up then, because usually you don't have enough money to buy something anyway. They might have like 3 or 4 dragons. They might have Baron buff. It gives you just a little bit extra stats to try to, unless you can finish an item. A lot of times that's a good way to try to win that team fight.
And that's been the most times I've been noticing myself buying an elixir, and then after I was buying them during those times, or buying them obviously when we're, like as an AD carry, AP carry, like you're fully built and you have really nothing else to put your gold into except for making yourself more powerful with that. It's like, well, can this be used earlier in the game? Can this be used, like, why only buy this, when you're either shit in the bed or you're way ahead? So I was just trying to figure out when would be a good time to buy them, even when it's not those two situations.
The 2 times you're looking to get it is objective contest, like do or die, like if it's the last push or if it's their last push, like Dave's talked about. So I guess 3 times. Or if you're really far ahead, even if there isn't an objective up, but like your team's probably going to make a move, like siege down mid tower or like top tower, and you're not like 100% sure. But if you're really far ahead, you just grab it, throw it down and throw it.
Yeah.
From the AD carry's perspective, it's hard to get it when you're just even or behind, because you really need certain stats at certain points of the game, right? You need your first big AD item, and you need that as fast as possible to start doing damage, and you need attack speed to back it up, and then you're going to need armor penetration eventually, and or lifesteal, right? So if you're behind...
I bought it with Graves, and I was like, well, I got 2 items, I'm ahead early, like, let's win harder.
If you're ahead, then by all means, you can afford that. But like I was saying, if you're behind, you really need those stats, and the further you push those off, then the further you're going to fall behind.
Yeah, because who knows how many assists or kills you're actually going to get in a team fight if you're an AD carrying behind. For all you know, you're going to get 1 assist, or you're going to get none, because it's going to be a 4-0 sweep with the tank getting away that tried to dive you. With an AD carry,
while that elixir's burning, the clock is ticking. You got to make the most of it.
But again, if there's like a big objective coming up, even if you're behind, if it's the difference between a long sword or a pot, then go with the pot.
Yeah,
I'll say in high elo, like tanky supports, there are the items you have to buy. Like certain games, you just have to buy Faith because they have an assassin, or you have to buy Mikhails because they have CC or whatever. Once you get the items you have to buy, like especially if you're playing a tank, they usually just spam iron. Like they're usually getting an iron like every back or 2, and more often than not, if you're winning every back. And it's just like the items you have on support aren't as relevant as the game impact you can have on a support. And if your team is winning and like you've already finished the items you have to buy, you just expand the iron and have more game impact than the other support.
I've just noticed that with iron, other than the increase of, like, because there have been games where if they're pretty CC heavy, I won't go with mobility. I'll save the extra gold and get Merc Treads for the tenacity. But doesn't stack, though, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Or
it's stacked. Well, let's say I can't remember the exact values for iron, but it's
iron's increased size and you get the tenacity bonus. It's just that I've only found the really big benefit with iron was that
it used to be
my character
additive,
image
I think
is
it's
so large that
now.
I get hit with abilities that might have been hit for other team members, which is good. But
so let's say one of them takes 50%, just for numbers' sake to explain it, and the other one takes 50%. It won't put you 0, it'll put you 25 because they'll do 50 to 50. So, like, let's say Merc's reduced by 35 and puts you at 65. And I can't remember what iron is, but let's say it's
25%.
25 iron.
25%. So 25% of 65%. 31 and half of 30.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's
16.25.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to say it. It's multiplicative.
It used to be additive at the start.
Yeah.
And then they're like, whoa, all right.
If it wasn't, you could go Merc's Iron Mundo and like hit close to 100.
But it would still be beneficial, even if I had Merc Treads, to still get iron though.
It's still good.
Seems like the go-to tank elixir. So,
as a support, this is one of the issues I see in Bronze Boot Camp a lot because I see a lot of Randuins and a lot of Sunfires. I don't like those items to support that much. Once again, game impact. On support, you have more game impact with Mobies. Whereas if you're a little tankier and you're like the last one staying alive in a fight, it really doesn't matter.
Actually, I'm curious. What do you think about Dead Man's Plate on support?
I was going to ask that tonight too.
It's
so new.
No,
two issues. It's expensive, and it's expensive, and it only helps you.
Well, the problem with any of those items, like Frozen Heart, Dead Man's Plate, whatever, let's just throw all those items out, the Randuin, Sunfire, is one, they're expensive, and two, they're selfish. And as a support, you're a selfless player. You're building items.
And it seems like a top item, selfish and expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the top laner thing. And that's really that's the end all be all argument for it. Is you're a selfless player as a support being selfish. So you should be buying Mikhail's, Aegis of Legion. I mean, Banner of Command helps your team some. That's a little more of a selfish item, but still, Banner of Command.
But it's awesome.
But it's awesome. Yeah, you should be building your Runic Shield if you're a tank support. Yeah, sorry, you get to face the mountain.
But it can be it can also help your team, giving you movement speed if you have the Elixir of Iron and Captain's Enchant.
I mean, you are just playing devil's advocate at this point, just to argue. It really is a selfish item, and all these other items will help your AD carry win, who are going to do more damage than you. So
you'd rather get Righteous Glory because it helps the team move.
Exactly. If you're going to pick up something, you have the extra gold. Righteous Glory is probably the way to go. Because it helps your team engage. Even if you have a team of Malphite, Orianna, Amumu, Righteous Glory helps you engage that much more quickly, All
right.
So
this goes back to what Pwn touched on, too. A lot of people kind of have issues staying alive on support, and I actually talked to Daze about this as well, because she's asking about some of her Sona builds. One of the skills of being a good support is staying alive without a lot of items. Or maybe not a lot of tankiness sometimes. And if I watch someone in Bronze Boot Camp, not to bash Bronze Boot Camp, play Thresh and get Mikhails, a lot of times they'll just get one shot over and over again. Although it's a really viable high elo build, it's just the positioning required to play with that items is a skill you have to play support at the highest level.
I've been noticing that in the most recent ranked games that I go back and look at either with LSI or when the stats, things that I can keep track of, that building, trying not to die.
Yes.
Just don't die. Even if you have to back off from a team fight, instead of just dying, if you back off with a little bit of extra health, rather than just not dying, that's changed, why wins and stuff, as a support anyway, because you're staying alive and helping your team out that way, either with aura, stun.
So one thing that's really, you bring up a good point there, is it's going to take you some games to get used to. And for anybody out there who has a problem with dying, if you start forcing yourself to back a little earlier in a team fight, back off of the team fight, it'll teach you what your limits are as a player or as that character. Because I'm a Thresh, I've hit the hook, I've walked in, I've flayed, I've dropped my abilities. Now what do I do? Well, usually it's probably back off a little bit and then start auto-attacking. But even if it's I've landed every single one of my abilities and I know I've landed it and I just walk out of that team fight, you can then go back and assess, what could I have done differently in that team fight? Well, I could have backed off and auto-attacked the tank that was attacking my carry that I peeled off of it. But it gives you a baseline to have a better understanding of how not to die, because you are playing so safe that you aren't dying. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I've learned to either not die or, when it's time to go aggressive, to really kind of put your foot to the floor.
To me, it sounds like you're already at that point where you have the understanding of that threshold. But this is more for those players out there who are listening to you and saying, "I'm in the same situation as Corey is. I might be having this issue, but this, I'm having an issue dying in team fights. And so now I'm telling people just maybe back off a bit sooner. And then you can go back and, again, watch your replays and evaluate.
It's a fine line to try to determine.
Oh, it's such a fine line.
Death sentence is a threshold. Anyway, Corey, real quick, when you play a tanky character, the tanky support, do you find yourself kind of tunnel visioning on initiating every fight? Or have you
not after
one
of the
training
games.
Yourself to peel?
Not after one of the games that I was in that I listened to after Horse was saying I was in Alistar, and I kept looking to engage, where when I went back and watched it, he was like, yeah, the engage is cool, but you might be better off being a peel bot at the same time, depending on the team comp and stuff. Because when looking back in his analysis and stuff, it was like, well, he can jump on your guy, and he can jump on your guy, and it'd be better if you can just stun, headbutt, stun, headbutt. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
There's something to bring out here now is that Alistar's Q is going to, or W is going to move 300 units more slowly than it previously did, making headbutt pull harder to land.
Just read the patch notes prior to prior to hopping on here.
Yeah, we're gonna go over patch notes on Monday, but yes, Alistar, to bring that up, is going to be harder to do the WQ engage because it moves more slowly now.
Dom is crying right now.
Too. You can flash WQ now, more easily.
Oh, that's what they say. Actually, their flavor text, they made it so people can flash out of it.
Well, good Alistar is no Q combo anyway. They Q then flash, so the Q instantly goes off, so there's really no way to react to it. But I guess WQ is the best combo you have with that flash most of the time.
Yeah.
You were saying, Chira?
Dom is crying to himself silently right now.
Or a resident cow expert.
Yeah.
I should get used to that. I never thought about queuing and then flashing, because I know Lee Sins pretty much do the same thing. They start their R before they make it with kick. Right. It makes sense to do it with Alistar, because you can start the Q before you make it into the fight if you flash.
You just can't react to stuff like that. Especially one of the biggest things I hit a wall with is us kind of getting mechanically outplayed by things. And a lot of it is the time you give your opponent to react to a play, and the less time you give them, the better. On Branch, there's a certain order you can use your skills so they all hit at the same time. And Alistar doing Q first, Lee doing kick before flash and stuff like that. And it's just you don't give them that counterplay if you don't have to. There's no reason.
Unless you mechanically suck.
All right.
Then you band-aid it.
What band-aid it with flash?
No, you band-aid it by how you play.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
You peel instead. Peel, sorry. Someone else initiate.
God damn it, Claude. All right. Well, okay, Corey, I'm not trying to cut us off because I don't want to. We have plenty of time left to talk. But anything else left on that notepad?
Oh, it was the only I was actually going to transition into it when we were doing
take it over the host chair.
Nice.
It was the taking the towers early, and I have it written out as far as regardless of what lane I'm in, or regardless of what lane I'm in, my mindset is typically when safe, you put damage on the turret either by pushing the wave up, letting your minions do the work, or hitting it with the minion wave. But are there certain disadvantages of taking the tower early? I know we always talk about taking objectives and getting mid-turret down opens up the map, while bot and top usually allows your teammates to start grouping toward the mid-game. Also, as a jungler, which I do play still, is it good to help put damage on the turret after either a successful gank or a successful tower dive?
Honestly, when it comes to silver, if you can't get your team to group, if your team seems unwilling to work through pings, or you can pretty much judge a team within the first 10 minutes if they're willing to work around your pings. Don't take that tower early. Use your time to zone the enemy and hope that you're
get as big of an advantage.
Yes,
until your team feels obligated to group rather than forcing them to group and them not doing it.
Yeah, I've noticed trying to force them to group by taking the tower. Like, let's just get this down, and then that way you guys can get the hell out of this lane and get in the mid, and they just stay in bot or they stay top.
I was about to say
that's not what I wanted at all.
You end up taking top turret, and then they just keep going top, push so far that they end up getting ganked and then start dying, and that advantage just got thrown away.
Yeah, as a laner, you got two options. You take an early tower. One scenario is you're ahead, but the rest of your team is not. And in that case, you want to stay in your lane and keep pushing and force the enemy team to come deal with you because you have a lead and you're punishing their whatever lane you're in. The other scenario is the rest of your team is ahead, and that's when you want to group up and start pushing down mid and just ram objectives down their throat. As not a laner like you're playing the support and the jungler. You can't really take advantage of the first scenario because if you have a lead,
the rest of the laners.
Yeah, you're not in one lane all the time. And even if you're support and you have a huge lead, you can't control your AD carry. You can request that, hey, we've got a lead, we should keep pushing, but at the end of the day, you can't really control them. So I think I kind of agree with Adam and Shira here that pay attention to how the rest of your team is doing before you take the early tower. If your team does have a huge lead, then just take the tower and start snowballing.
And manipulate them into groupings so you can win the game.
And do type. Well, I'll let Horse. I'll let you jump in here right after this. This is the point you asked earlier about typing. You can type to your carry. Let's freeze lane. I'll harass. That's pretty much all I have to type. Or hey, let's freeze. And maybe they know how to. Maybe they don't know how to. I mean, it's a crapshoot, right? Whether even in platinum, it's a crapshoot. Whether people know. I bitch about people not knowing how to press the 2 and press their advantage in platinum. So don't feel bad. But yeah, that's something you can't type. You were asking earlier. You can just say let's freeze. Horse, you were gonna roll.
All right. So the 3 lanes are different. Top, you usually don't want to take as early as other towers in solo queue because they can freeze on you and punish with TP. And your laner has to extend really far to punish freeze and to reset the wave back in the tower, and they can usually get ganked. Mid, usually pretty good to gank because of how much vision you can get on the map and the fact that most mid laners can roam or just continue to play mid lane because it's a lot harder to freeze or do anything with on the map. Bot lane, you really want to look at the lane. If you have a really lane dominant AD carry and they have a weak AD carry, sometimes you don't want to end lane. Like if your Kate has 2 kills up on a Vayne, you may not want to take tower unless you think that Kate can take mid. And that touches on the biggest thing you need to look at is their wave clear. If they have Ziggs, your thoughts on taking towers are very different than if they have a Kali. So yeah, you kind of need to think about what is the next move and can I make the next move? And if they have a Kali, your next move could easily be a tier 1 or tier 2 mid if you had Caitlyn. If they had a Ziggs and you had Kate versus Vayne and that Kate had 2 kills, probably don't want to end that landing phase. You probably want to let Kate crap on Vayne some more because the Ziggs are just going to wave clear.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. If your opponent is losing the laning phase and you're zoning them out, extend that. Keep punishing them. It's nothing more frustrating than having that happen because you can go, at least they're going to push the turret down and then I can farm when they roam. No, not going to happen like that if you keep punishing them.
I think that covers it, huh?
Yeah, at least the stuff that I had written down.
At least the notepad, huh? Did we get to everything?
I got some good notes to kind of staple next to the monitor.
Just stabilize the monitor. Go over on your breaks at work, whatever it may be. And we're always here. Like if you have questions, email them. I'll pass them on to Horace. I'll pass them on to whoever. Obviously we've been talking, but something. The great piece about this, what I liked about this episode, is that we actually covered a lot of. I'm not going to say generic questions, but probably a lot of questions that people don't write in, but all have the question for, right? Like people don't know how to write in and say
my questions were for for awards or for here, but I kind of figured you guys would be more expanding on, because I'm not a beginner. I know the essence of the game, and it's not that point. It's
just
more
a little bit more.
There's more items in the game than you guys talk about. And
hey, as soon as you talked about elixirs, I was like, this is a proper territory because elixirs are something that's an advanced move that you're going to.
Because I don't think I've ever heard it at least on the proper, as far as on some of the older podcasts and stuff.
And we are cooler than the 4 words guys. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. We don't have Doom on there because we don't have anybody that's got exiled.
Those guys are pretty cool.
No, they're not because we didn't exile anybody. All we do is bring people on with loving and open arms.
Doom has some really white teeth, though. Damn, if you ever watch him live,
does he blind you?
Yeah,
I couldn't follow the Oniken guy. I listened to the episode. The episode was really nice. It's just he was more educated than I about certain things. I was like, I can't follow up with that. I sound like an idiot.
No, it's all good. I think that pretty much ends it here for the Trinity Force podcast. Corey, thank you so much for your donation, and thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm sure we will probably wrap around after the new year, and really follow up with you again and bring you back on to talk about some more stuff if you're interested in that.
I'd be happy to do it. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Just as a note as we're going out here, just guys, don't forget to check us out in Cincinnati. I know that Corey will be there. We will be there. We're all going to be hanging out. We're going to go out and we're going to bar hop afterwards as well. So if you
good craft beer down here,
that's the plan.
There is some. Yeah, he's fucking spot on. Cincinnati's got some
beer in Cincinnati.
Awesome craft beer.
That and Skyline and Geta.
Yeah, we'll go get Skyline. Chiro will show us like 9 hot dogs at 2 a.m.
All right, if you wanna watch me eat 12 hot dogs and then just feel terrible about yourself, come and hang out with me in Cincinnati.
We'll have a 3-way, and
hot.
it really won't be.
Oh shit!
What you think.
You're right. We have to take Horse to get 3-ways. We have to.
You know, the best part is like Horse is he's gonna go to Skyline. He's gonna be like, "What's so special?"
Yeah.
And then like he's gonna get real sick.
There's so much
and,
cheese.
Yeah,
It's like it's just reminds you of those Cincinnati shirts where it says 3 ways in cornhole, good old fashioned fun here in Ohio.
Are those hot dogs?
No, not a 3-way. A 3-way is spaghetti
and
chili, and cheese.
That sounds good.
A mountain of cheese.
A mountain.
That was
of
my
cheese.
first impression when I had Skyline. I was like, this is so much cheese. I can't eat all this cheese.
You can get a
cheese.
Hope you don't like pooping.
Yeah, right.
yeah, you're gonna have a bad time.
You get a 4-way, which is either with beans or onions, or a 5-way,
which is all of it.
Or you get a Cody.
Well, why aren't we asking for a Skyline sponsorship? We're doing
right.
such a great job just saying Skyline Chili. I'll eat all the hot dogs that you currently have at any of your restaurants.
Gold Star. Oh God, let's kick this guy off the podcast.
Are you trying to start
I
like
haven't had it. I just
some
heard
sort
things.
of gang war?
What about Dixie Chili? Let's talk about that too.
Well, they have Empress, and you have Price Hill Chili, and you have
Price Hill ain't too bad though.
I like Price Hill Chili a lot.
Yeah.
Does not give a fuck about the last 3 minutes of conversation.
People like
Maybe they're
Cincinnati
convinced
chili.
to come to Cincinnati now.
Yeah,
He should.
All bid at GG.
Yeah, you come down here. We'll go down to Rheingeist. That's where we're going to
Good
be bar
sports,
hopping to.
good beer, good food.
That's right.
The only
Except
thing
for
I'm worried about.
I'm thinking about.
wait, no, I want to hear what Horace is worried
yeah,
about.
I
The
got
only thing I'm worried about is in Cincinnati and most other states, you guys have those disgusting brown hot dogs. In Maine, we have the superior red ones. Really gonna suffer.
We're gonna make him eat a fucking Frank or a chili dog from Skyline now.
Queen City Hot Mets.
Oh, Queen
Have a hot
City.
Met?
Wait, has he had Geta? Have you ever had Geta?
Yeah, no one knows what Geta is outside the 275 loop typically. So.
Yeah, right. We'll feed some horse some Geta too. Dude, this will be pooping all the way home. He'll be in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's his flight.
yeah.
All right, guys.
Spend the
You're
time.
welcome.
Start smelling the phone now.
I know, great way to end the show. Hopefully people are enjoying.
You did say shit show, so.
Oh, coming full circle.
Back around. All right, guys, that's episode number 287 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you again, Corey, for being on. We're going to go play some games and enjoy League of Legends. Guys, we will see you all next week. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.